Alright everybody, welcome to another episode of In Between Days, where we chat chowder about everything that happens in the fictional town of Salem on the hit soap Days of Our Lives. And if you missed last week, or the last video that I put out, it was covering the week before the Olympic break. And not to confuse anybody, but I put that out rather recently as kind of a refresher course so that we could get all reacquainted after a 2-week period off for the Olympics, of course. Now, in that last video, I covered the Beyond Salem spin-off coming to NBC Peacock. I'm not sure what that means for international viewers, if we're going to be able to see any of that at some point, but I will keep you posted on that. But a whole cast of current characters and some that we have not seen for quite a while are going to be performing in that 5 or 6 episode spin-off. I can't quite remember, but again, check out my last video if you want a refresher course and some news on Beyond Salem. We're gonna get to some other news in just a bit, and we're gonna do something special and very necessary in my opinion. But first, we're gonna jump right into the show. So obviously EJ got the burnt up letter from Nicole finally, and then later confronts Sami all about it, and that's kind of where we left off last week, I believe. Some of the stuff this week, obviously the explosive situation between EJ and Sami itself, and also a confrontation between Lucas and EJ where Lucas tells pronouns, pal, where Lucas tells EJ to step aside if he is not able to basically forgive Sami, because he's not exactly innocent in his own treatment of Sami or his past with Sami, as Sami even brings up that he had the affair with Abigail and all that other stuff. So there you go. Sami's also mad at Lucas because she wants to know how Nicole possibly found out. And Lucas explains that Philip is actually the one who got the letter from him and all the backstory to that, so that all comes out. Sami also confronted Nicole at Nicole's house, and Rafe was there. Probably for the best, because as Rafe said, Sami looked like she could kill someone, and we all know that that's not far out of the realm of possibility. There's also some stuff with Rafe and Nicole this week, where Rafe is consoling Nicole. Rafe is consoling Nicole because of what happened between Nicole and Eric last week, and Ava comes in and sees them together and kind of flashes back to all these moments where they've kind of been a little too friendly before, and some of the things that Nicole has said in regards to Rafe in the past. So what I think is there's a little bit of foreshadowing going on, and there's also a conversation between Ava and Jake this week where they get into like the Vitali stuff, and I think all of this is kind of foreshadowing that Nicole and Rafe are destined to get kind of closer to each other, and that's going to set off Ava. And with Kristen gone, we are probably on our way to getting back evil Ava, because we need some evil Ava, because domesticated Ava, not really that exciting to watch. And with Kristen out of the picture, perhaps that fills a spot where we have this evil Ava kind of being triggered and coming back into life, and maybe she perhaps will act more obsessive and all of that, the way she did with Steve in the past, and the way that she interacted with Kayla in the past might be similar to how she is going to feel about Nicole in the near future, especially because they've developed this bit of a friendship between Nicole and Ava and kept them close. Well, it might become a case of keep your enemies close, and whether or not that was in Ava's mind all along, I'm not too sure, but I do think that's going to combust and explode into quite a situation Anyway, elsewhere in Salem, we have Gabby wanting to trick Philip, and she installs something onto his computer that can kind of see everything that he's doing, so things are developing with that, and we get a little bit more with Philip and Chloe this week as well, so they have that kind of developing, and there's of course the whole Brady kind of wanting to be with Chloe stuff as well, so we'll see how that all develops. They don't touch too much on that this week. We also have Sami going to see Gabby, I believe, to ask Gabby if she can stay in the house, because EJ has, of course, thrown her out of a house that doesn't belong to him, which Sami calls him on, and she's just like, well, you know, I tend to be friendly with Gabby these days, and I am Ariana's grandmother, so she'll probably let me stay in the house. Why everyone wants to stay in that house, besides Jake, that is a little bit beyond me. So yeah, as it stands, from what I remember, Gabby's not even staying in the house that she somehow acquired through the fact that she used to be with Stefan O, and she acquired the Demir mansion. Very ridiculous, I know. Jack in the Horton house confronts Gwen, and Xander covers for her lies, and Xander is trying to protect the original lie that Gwen told, which is a incorrect story about how she actually lost her baby. And Xander, at the last minute, decides to cover for Gwen when she's confronted by Jack, because Jack is completely onto the fact that she was working for Dr. Snyder and all of that. It's just that he doesn't know that she was being bribed to work for Dr. Snyder. So Jack is feeling very betrayed, and Xander is about to cover for his long-lost daughter, Gwen. We also have Paulina's reward money that she offered to try to find who the heck kidnapped Ciara and where they took her, because the Salem Police Department, of course, cannot figure out to check the cabin, even though it's always the cabin. Why would you not check the cabin? But anyways, what can you do, right? That darn Salem Police Department again, not being able to figure things out. So this is one heck of an episode, ladies and gentlemen. We also have Allie and Claire that are still in jail, but, you know, Ben and Ciara, even when Ben and Ciara basically have their moment with the fortune cookie and their big, amazing reunion where Ciara gets her memory back, even after Ciara has her memory back, Ben does not say, well, Allie and Claire are probably in jail covering for me right now. We better do something about that. That doesn't happen. And Ben even convinces Ciara to stick around longer before going to drop the news on Theo that they're not going to be getting married on her wedding day to Ben after all. Anyways, if you can keep track of all of that, I mean, we all somehow do. But I guess my point is, like, there are other people involved here. You two lovebirds need to get on back to Salem. But that's not what happens. And of course, what we are left with near the end of Friday's episode is Sean and Theo coming to the cabin and discovering that Ben and Ciara are in fact there, but not in the way that they would expect, because Ciara has her full memory back. Anyways, what I was originally trying to say is Paulina's reward money did lead to some information about where Ben and Ciara were. Why Sean and the Salem Police Department couldn't figure that out on their own is beyond me, other than a little bit of maybe lazy writing there. And that's about all that happened on Days. We finally got the reunion between Ben and Ciara, where she remembers everything in the cabin, and I'm sure all of you saw that, and all the well done flashbacks when she's like literally gaining her memory back in real time. I thought that was well done. And yeah, the fortune cookie stuff was a little bit cheesy, but that's a little bit what Days was built on, cheesy super couples and adventures. So I'll take what I can get. It's better than the fighting over who's CEO stuff, because that's not really what Days is all about. It's about super couples and epic adventures and all that good stuff, warring families, but not so much the who's going to be CEO of what business stuff. I don't know when it really all became about that. I also detected some static on my microphone just now, but we're about to more or less wrap things up. Paulina also gets a mysterious visitor, and we all know that's going to be Marla Gibbs. And Marla Gibbs is going to be playing Jackie Harry, aka Paulina's mother. I don't think that's too much of a spoiler, because that's been out there for quite a while, and of course they both worked together on 227, so I personally can't wait to see that. And 227 wasn't too bad of a show, actually, so we'll see what happens there. As I said before, a couple things I wanted to mention, and a couple of tidbits that I may have forgotten that I'm just going to sneak in here. So like I said, Jake and Ava's conversation, I do think, is part of a foreshadowing of Evil Ava coming back, and that's something I wanted to say. I also wanted to get a little bit into, before we get out of here, who might have kidnapped Sami, and I believe this is a throwback to the old Stefano DiMera days, where he would just throw anybody on an island. And as cliche as that sounds, Days of Our Lives, and this writer in particular, kind of goes for the cliches and kind of goes for the old tropes, and kind of repeats some of the same stuff over and over, with the doubles and long lost children. So I don't think it's too far out of bounds to suggest that I think EJ, in cahoots with his sister Kristen, had Samantha kidnapped, and I believe that at some point down the road in the not too near future, because I know that Allison Sweeney, who plays Sami, is leaving the show again for a while, but I think somewhere down the road what's going to happen is Sami is going to be revealed to be on some kind of island, and on that very same island with her is probably going to be Sarah Horton, who is also mysteriously taken away. And nobody really knows that Sarah is missing quite yet, but they eventually will, and maybe somebody will go looking for her. She can't be trapped in an attic forever. No, she's not in the attic where Max and Frankie were for years. She's trapped on an island like Marlena was for years. But I digress. I really believe that she may be on an island with Sarah Horton, and that's because I think EJ and Kristen worked together to have her taken away so that she can pay for her awful betrayal of EJ. Of course, she slept with Lucas Horton again, so we'll have to see where that all goes. Now, before I forget, but I won't forget because this is a really important piece of business, so let me just get to this very quickly. You can go to the Twitter account at ToBeHonestPatR1. That is very not easy to say, but it's the username for a guy named Patrick TV. And the reason I'm talking about this is because he has started a petition, something that I would have loved it to have done myself, to get Isabel Durant back on Days of Our Lives. And of course, she is the actress who played the most recent version, and only tolerable version, of Claire Brady. I really liked her portrayal of Claire, and I thought that was the Claire that we all deserved. So I'm not trying to take any shots here. I'm just trying to get Isabel Durant back on Days of Our Lives where she belongs, because she was amazing with the character, and they had just really started with her. I mean, other than kind of being Ben's sidekick and rooting for him and sticking with him through all the Ciara stuff, she hasn't really got a chance to be Claire, if you want to say, and kind of have her own stories. The only stuff we really got with Claire before was with the old Claire and the old actress, and I just like to see this Claire have more of a shot to stick around. So I understand with new contracts comes budgeting and hard cuts that they have to make and hard decisions, but I also know that certain people are coming back and other people are leaving, and some of the people coming back perhaps are not as justified as just keeping this Claire around. Like, anyway, it's all a matter of opinion, but I would like to see Isabel Durant back on Days of Our Lives. So if you could go to @tobeHonest, PATR1, and fill out the petition to have Isabella Durant back on Days of Our Lives, that would be very helpful. It's a change.org petition. It's way too complicated to speak out the address. It's like http change.org/a million things. So what I can do is I can post it below this video. And I know it might not have been the best of all videos covering Days of Our Lives, but we will be back again next week covering everything on Days. Let me know your thoughts on this week, and don't forget to like and share and subscribe. That would also be a great help, and thanks for checking this out. We're going to keep it nice and short and sweet this week, but yes, we have Ben and Ciara back together. So thank you for listening once again, and check that petition out and get Isabella Durant back on Days. I don't think there's any real news of any comings and goings that I haven't covered already since last week, but of course remember that Beyond Salem is coming, so check out Beyond Salem. It's coming in September, and again, I don't know if anybody outside the US, and I'm not in the US, can check that out, but I will keep you posted about that. There's a new Sami Kyriakis on Beyond Salem, which is very strange. Another example, and that's another example of what I'm talking about. Why are they bringing in new Sami Kyriakises and letting go of Claire? But also, here's the other thing. Why even bring back a new Sami? I think I said this last week, and this will be my final thought. Why bring back a new Sami played by a new actor? There's so much of this new actor stuff going on and recasting. Let's if you're gonna bring on some new characters, Adrian and Justin had three other sons, so we could see one of them on canvas. I'm not really sure what perfect purpose it serves to see Will and Sunny on Beyond Salem, but some of these people they're bringing back, I'm kind of like, yeah, you're bringing them back, and that's great and all, but if it's at the expense of letting go of some of these other people, then maybe it's just not the right place, right time. I don't know, but we'll have to see how it all unfolds. Once again, thanks for listening, and I will see you next time.